Hey guys, and welcome back to another Disney Twisted Tale review. My name is Hala, and I am an author and illustrator of my own fantasy novels and original manga series. So if you're interested in more of that, I do have like my website links in the description. But today, we're just talking Disney. Specifically, we're gonna go over my feelings for How Far I'll Go by Kiala Kendall. If I'm pronouncing her name wrong, please do let me know because I couldn't find a consistent pronunciation when I looked it up real quick. But I don't know if I should hold this off until the end or if you can kind of already tell just by my demeanor of starting this video. If you've seen any of my other reviews, I think you can kind of tell how I felt about it in the first few seconds, really. So without further ado, this was good. Alrighty, before we get into the meat of it, we do have to do the usual, and we will read through the back cover or the story blurb, just so everybody's on the same page. Once again, I did not read this before actually reading the book. I did it on accident in my last review for Cruel Truth, and I think it did make me feel a certain way going into it, but I went into this completely blind with the exception of the one-liner, "What if Moana broke the heart of Te Fiti?" Let's read the synopsis and dive in because I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to you guys about this, and you all should read it. What if Moana broke the heart of Te Fiti? After a devastating battle with Taka, Moana's worst fears are realized. The heart of Te Fiti is in ruins. Maui is frozen in volcanic rock, and darkness threatens to envelop her beloved home. To make matters worse, it seems Moana has not left the fight unscathed. A curse is making its way up her arm, threatening to overtake her. Desperate to fix things, Moana stumbles upon an island already crumbling under the blight. All life is gone, save one sole survivor, a young woman named Noe. Moana is relieved to find another wayfarer, even if this stranger is more than a little intimidating. Better still, Noe has an idea for how to fix the heart. By using the tears of Te Fiti, gems infused with the goddess's essence. The catch? The tears are said to be scattered throughout the realm of monsters. Banding together, Moana and Noe set a course for an impossible mission to find the powerful lost tears. Will Moana be able to restore the heart amid secrets and monsters? Or will the blight overtake everything she holds dear? So, we're going to jump into it. I am going to try not to spoil the ending because I do want you guys to read it and just enjoy it since, honestly, in my opinion, where's the beginning? The earlier, sorry, you can't even see that. The earlier Twisted Tales are on this shelf, but since that first gen, I don't think we've had a Twisted Tale quite this good. Why is it good? This review is actually a few days later than I intended it to be because I liked it so much. I didn't know how to convey it into words. I was just very happy. No mistakes. No mistakes. You're great. Yes, print and publish. So I had to kind of figure out how to make this into a review that was worthwhile, which, it's more interesting when I kind of tear things apart. However, I do enjoy things. And this is going to be one of those where we kind of take things from a different perspective. Obviously, if you've read it and you have a different opinion, leave it in the comments below. But in my humble opinion, Moana's How Far I'll Go Twisted Tale is probably in the top 5 of them all, if not higher. So the book starts off right at pretty much the tail end of the movie. If you've seen it, I should probably put this somewhere so I'm not just gesturing, but maybe I'll stick it on my shoulder, or we'll just put the picture of it. We're just gonna pop that picture up because my hands are gonna go everywhere. So yes, we start at the tail end of the movie as Maui and Moana are heading towards the island to restore the heart of Te Fiti, and they are pretty much in the midst of fighting Taka. Moana sees kind of the gap between part of the island and Taka that she thinks she can get the boat through before Taka catches them in order to get past Taka and reach Te Fiti. That fails. not only does that fail, but that moment of her trying to make that move is what really threw things for a loop. So right away we get the twist from the original story. Rather than it being the moment where Moana presents the heart to Taka, everything is ash. And Taka, as the entity itself, is not even there. But the whole island that they're on, rather the atoll. So I did not know this word, atoll. I think I vaguely knew it, but I just never used it. I've never had a reason to use it. It was used pretty often, but it makes sense because it's like an island ring that's like made of coral reefs. So having that knowledge, this word makes sense. You can move on with your life. But if you were like me, I'm like, why did we use this word? I didn't look it up till I was done with the book, to be honest. So for me, I was just like, does this mean island or hill? If I'm being picky, I didn't know the word, so it threw me off of it. But now you guys know the word, so it's not gonna throw you off. Everything's ash, dark, crumbly. Moana finds that there is a ring of just kind of like a blackness on her wrist. And it's kind of like, I think at that point it is kind of raised like lava rock and it can't come off. It's part of her body right now, okay? So she's got that. She doesn't know what it is, but it hurts. It definitely, like her hand hurts. So maybe it was her hand covered up to the wrist. I feel like it was a bracelet initially though. And then she finds Maui and he is just imprisoned in lava rock essentially. His eyes are empty, like he's gone. There's no way you can just like crack him out of there. He's been taken over by the blight. In Moana's loneliness, her grandmother spirit actually reaches out to her, and the grandmother spirit Tala is not too worried at this point. Like she still believes that Moana can figure this out. She's very supportive, and she, as a spirit in her manta ray form, actually takes Moana from that island and takes her to the blighted island where Noe is. So she doesn't really like stumble upon it. Her grandmother takes her there, her grandmother's spirit. And it is while Moana is on this island that she sees firsthand the effects of the blight taking over a village where people kind of very, not quite Pompeii, because I think with Pompeii you do have like some mummified people. Whereas in this case, I think they were more like, again, mummified in the stone. But it's like people in the midst of running away with shocked expressions. So like the blight hit them really quick. But amongst the villagers, she runs into this girl who's about her age. She's very gaunt, kind of ghastly, or ashen, I think is what they use. But she's still got that fighting spirit in her. So she's not really willing to trust Moana just yet. But once she sees the curse on Moana's hand, then she's like, oh, so you've been claimed by a goddess, right? You've been claimed too, I think she did say. Moana finds it very easy to trust this girl, probably because she's the only one, A, around, B, you can tell that she's a warrior, wayfarer as well. So I think Moana really just needed some allies at this point. But she tells her what happened, because the heart of Te Fiti, the green stone, has pretty much gone entirely black, and any of the glowing essence that it had is gone. Noe has a little bit of extra insight into the situation, and seeing the heart of Te Fiti blackened like that, she believes that they can restore it using the tears of Te Fiti, as it was mentioned in the synopsis. So these tears, if we go into the lore of it, which the story does, and actually I'll tell you in a second how it shows us this, but the tears are while Te Fiti was out and about in the world and she would come upon an island or a patch of land or whatever, make an island, a tear would fall and it would kind of turn into this green gem that would give that location abundance of life. It creates life, right? Helps things flourish and flower. There used to be a ton of these tears like throughout the whole world, but apparently now there are only 3 left. At least 3 that Noe knows of, and all 3 of those are in the realm of monsters, Lalotai, which if you watch the Moana movie, that's when they went and To Mr. Shiny, the big crab, he lived in Lalotai, the realm of monsters. Even though it was difficult and she had Maui's help at the time, Moana's like, okay, yeah, let's just go to the realm of monsters. I got out once, I'll get out again. Let's get these tears. Let's just gung-ho it. Because the other thing that Noe says, based on the curse, which, not sure how, if she just kind of threw out the estimation, but she was pretty accurate. Or maybe it was kind of her secret sense. But she's like, yeah, that is going to take over you by the full moon, so we got about a week. Another thing to point out is that Noe's knowledge of all these things is because her island still followed kind of more traditional beliefs and they passed down the stories. They actually used to have their own tier, and the reason why their village wasn't protected was because they used the tier. They had used it to save the life of a child who was born with one foot in the spirit world. So I guess not necessarily a dead baby, but like dying. They used the stone to save that one child instead of preserving it and saving their village. So she knows about that. She and the other wayfarers have been experienced essentially monster hunters, which is pretty cool. So she has like a spear with actual monster teeth on it. And the reason why they're such experienced monster hunters is because their own little portal to the realm of monsters is very close by. So unlike the route that Maui and Moana took, where they had to climb the cliff and then jump down, the one near Noe's village is like through a cave, like deep, deep, deep in the cave and then kind of down a waterfall. And in this cave, you can actually see more blighted villagers who were like in the midst of praying to the goddesses to save them from the blight, and they didn't get saved. And so Noe's kind of got that chip on her shoulder that like, why really help them? Like, you can't trust them. They didn't answer my prayers. Even though she has that feeling, she's still helping Moana find the tears to restore the heart of Te Fiti. You can make your own assumptions based on what the information I've given you, which has not been spoily. Like, that's how we get it all at the beginning. And I'd say, like, if you are reading into it, yeah, it does go that way. But you may not expect every detail that happens. So I will say that even though there were certain foundations laid out in the book, it wasn't totally predictable, or at least even if you were kind of predicting the track it would take for like them finding the tears, maybe getting the tears, maybe not getting the tears, I think it still held a significant element of suspense. After Moana and Noe make it through the initial part of the cave and enter the realm of monsters, it's very clear that Moana is way out of her realm. Not just like the realm of humans, but like she may have learned how to wayfare to a point and like steer a ship, but like she has no real combat skills. Noe, as her monster hunter, we're just gonna go with monster hunter self, has been down into the realm of monsters enough times so that she's like, no, I'm guiding you, follow my lead, gets her through to the first location, which is a village of monsters. Pretty much, it's become like a sanctuary to them where all different kinds of monsters have gathered. They can see that Moana and Noe can see that there's like a feast going on, maybe some sort of celebration, and they're all gathering around like this banquet table. And in the very center, but like at the wee top of like a temple shrine tower situation, is their own tier of Te Fiti. So it's the first tier of the 3 that the girls are going to discover down in the realm of monsters. And of course, it's in the middle of a city of monsters who would love nothing more than to eat and or kill, do terrible things to a human, because as we will soon find out, it's not like the monsters are safe from the blight and what's going on. Like, yes, they have their own realm, and there obviously is this tension between them and humans, but it's more out of survival because of the blight and because of humans hunting them. Like, they had to find a place of their own. So you do get to see that other side of the story, and it's not just like monsters are monsters and they have like no feelings, right? The way that they get into the village is, of course, and this felt very Disney, but like Moana decides that they should go in disguise instead of splitting up and trying to fight through these because only Noe can fight. And even then, like, that's hundreds of monsters down there. So they grab the seaweed off the shore and become seaweed monsters. And they're making their way through, but they're noticed very quickly. Not because they're humans in disguise, but because they're a new monster. And the monsters are like, hey, newcomers, come join us for the banquet. Like, what kind of hosts would we be if we didn't invite you? So they end up at the table eating who knows what. Moana at least did sample it. But, you know, they're at the banquet table and sort of the monster leader, chief, their name is Kala. Kind of, I keep wanting to say like a dragon, maybe a semi-humanoid dragon, but they're described as like a reptilian monster. There were definitely a lot of references to this realm of monsters that I wonder if are present in like Polynesian, Hawaiian folklore and mythology. Should I look that up? Possibly. If I do, editing me is putting a comment down here if there's like any reference to Kala or this reptilian monster or the other monsters that may come up. That may just pop up on the bottom if editing me does the thing. But talking me right now, going in blind, okay? We're only basing our knowledge off what's in the book. Eventually, Moana and Noe do get away from the table and make their way towards the tier of Te Fiti. However, once they're up there, Moana goes to grab the tier and she sees a vision. And this is how we get a lot of the actual Te Fiti lore. So not just stuff that Noe has heard through their stories, but visually seeing through the goddess's eyes, leaving the tier to this monster. So this monster Kala is like the guardian of the tier. They did not steal it from the human realm. They were given it so that they could prosper, which is kind of the point where we start to see like monsters are not just monsters. So obviously this tier kind of like freezes her in time. She doesn't pass out, but all these winged monsters come out of nowhere because, you know, someone has gone after the tier, so Noe's fighting them off. They're struggling to get Moana awake, and Kala does kind of interfere with their escape and drops a little hint, like, I'm not the only one pretending to be something I'm not. And Moana initially thinks it's referring to her dressed up as a seaweed monster. Having said that, we already know there's something about Noe that Noe's not revealing. Through their own level of trials, they do manage to escape the monster village, and you can just hear the screams and cries of the monsters as they're sailing away. And Moana's having like doubts and second guessing, like, should we have actually taken it? The only thing that really overrides her conscience is knowing that if she can restore the heart of Te Fiti, Te Fiti can clear the blight, which will essentially make the monsters safe as well. So onward we go to the next tier of Te Fiti. How far should I go before I'm just spoiling you guys? Because I honestly just want you guys to read the book. And I don't want this just to be like a full recap and then you know what's coming. I think I need to point out this in general, the stuff that I liked, because that was maybe about a third through the book. Obviously, there's 2 more tiers. They're going to go after the tiers. Noe's got secrets. Moana is gung-ho because she's got this curse, so she's on a time frame of a week to get this all sorted before she also becomes a blighted individual. And monsters are not monsters. So, with that being said, something that we've been missing from the more recent Twisted Tales is the element of newness. So with this story taking place, it's not after the movie, but it's definitely, the twist came at essentially the end of the movie, which is what we would know if we saw the movie, right? So we're coming in there, which means pretty much everything in this book is new. So that automatically makes it more intriguing rather than being put in a semi-earlier timeline or an alternate twist where you know, like, this has to end in the same way that the movie goes. But with this one, I felt like there was just so much more to it that I wasn't trying to jump ahead and assume where it was going. Number 2, the darkness element. Now, it's definitely not as dark as Jafar but kind of maybe sort of it is. It's also not quite as dark as Maleficent's dream world that trapped Aurora in Once Upon a Dream. However, the blight of Taka, the mummified, lava blighted peoples, the lengths that some of these monsters are willing to go, and sort of the general atmosphere did have that very dark presence. This one satisfied that itch for, like, things can go wrong. Things might just be really, really bad, especially for certain characters. Like, you know, you hope and you believe the hero's going to come out on top, but, like, what are the steps to get there? I thought there was at least enough darkness, enough struggle and antagonism in this to make the hero struggle of Moana very intriguing. And again, it's a twisted tale. I have expectations. I have read them all. I have expectations. This lived up to it. Another reason I think How Far I'll Go succeeded where maybe some of the more recent books didn't is your only returning characters really that were active in the story were Moana. You did have Grandma Tala at the beginning, and obviously like references to stuff with Maui, but like you didn't, when there's really only Moana that you're following and you know as a character, I didn't feel like we had to make other characters feel not like themselves in order to reach certain goals. So having Noe and Kala and the other monsters and like some other interactions happen where it's not canon or like just not introduced to us before, I think it kept the element that this is the story, I'm accepting it, versus I'm challenging it because it's doesn't feel right for the character. Moana felt very true to herself in this. So also, I feel like that's point number 4, is the main character felt like the main character. She did things that I would expect her to do. And I think the final point is that this is just really well written. Miss Kendall, you did fantastic. And I don't know what your backlog looks like, but this is her first Twisted Tale entry. And I believe she is supposed to do another one in the next few releases, but this was a very, very good entry. Like I said, other than me not knowing the word at all, or not knowing it enough to just ignore it, the only other word or phrase that I noticed was used quite often was maw, which, like, you know, something's jaw, but it's like the cave's maw. So I felt like it may have been used a little more than it needed to, but was I also trying to find some things to talk about in this review? Maybe a little bit. And then the other one that stands out, and again, I think it only stands out because I think, at least in this area of America, we say goosebumps when your like skin gets raised. The other phrase that I've heard more commonly is goose flesh. I think that might be a little bit outdated, but the one used in here was goose skin. So I don't know if that is more of a regional dialect for that phrase, which, if it is, editing me, is it a regional dialect? Then obviously it fits to the region, right? So that, I think, is again just more of not something that I encounter as much that stood out to me, but that's it. Like, okay, 2 words/phrases that stood out, and one just because I'm dumb. No, she wrote really, really well. Like the pacing was fantastic. I gobbled this book up. Like, I could easily just go chapter by chapter, and the chapters weren't too long for the most part, which is another reason they were very easy to read. Some of the chapters did have that very typical, like, and then the world was black, which I think I have used, to be honest. I'm pretty sure I have used that at the end of one of my chapters, or even at the end of, I think it's the end of book 2, to be fair. Spoiler on my book there. A couple of those just like generic transition endings, but it's fine because like this chapter still had you so engaged that you were going to the next chapter. Like, yes, I know the world is black. Where did she wake up? Fantastic job. This is interesting. I think so. I was pretty sure that Kiala is the author for the Lilo and Stitch Twisted Tale, which is not yet released, but in the back cover author page, it does already say that she is the native Hawaiian author of How Far I'll Go and No One Gets Left Behind, writing for Disney's New York Times bestselling A Twisted Tale series. I don't know if I've ever seen that where they've done it for a book that hasn't been released yet, but I guess it's been announced. But I'm very excited to read that because now I have a template for how this author writes. Welcome to the Twisted Tale series. I hope everybody reads this one. This one is worth your time reading. This one is worth. This is how Twisted Tales should come back. And this, I hope, is the start of the dark Twisted Tales. Or at least, you know, I know one of them that is coming out is also Up. Yes, Liz Braswell is writing an Up-based Twisted Tale. So that's 2 of the 3 announced. We have Up by Liz Braswell, No One Gets Left Behind by Kiala Kendall, which is Lilo and Stitch. And then the third one, let me see if that's been announced. It's going to be up here if it is. I believe the author was Jen Kalanita. But I think that is all I should say about How Far I'll Go, because I want you guys to read it. I honestly want you guys to read it. I have no corrections. It was a fun ride. It felt like a Twisted Tale should. Like, definitely in the OG realm of Twisted Tales. And it has restored hope for the future of the series. So definitely check out How Far I'll Go by Kiala Kendall. And if you guys haven't already seen, there is a poll up on my YouTube page for which, I guess, Disney-related book I should read and review next, since it is going to be a few months before the next Twisted Tale, which I should have a date of. Do I have a date? Maybe I have a date, or maybe I have a cover. But before we get to that Twisted Tale, the lead for the poll currently is Bemused, which is a Hercules-inspired novel by Farah Roshan, who has written 2 or 3, I think 3 Twisted Tales at this point. So that will be my next Disney read. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments, because obviously I loved this book, but that doesn't mean everybody's going to love this book, though I think you guys will. I think historically, I think we should really enjoy this one. If you have recommendations that I can put into a future poll, feel free to leave those in the comments as well. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching. And if you haven't already, feel free to go watch some other stuff so you kind of know that I don't enjoy every single book, I promise.